Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. Put aside those tingly nostalgia feelings because tonight the video games are pretty obscure. You might see this video game fan slugging along through bad games. Welcome everyone to October 1982. We're still at the beginning of October, or the beginning of the fourth quarter of 1982. But last time we were checking out one of the best arcade games you can play right now, Radical Radial. Let's see where we're going next. Coming up next is the TRS-80. It's still cooking, the computer that could. This one we saw originally in 1977, and here the latest on your TRS-80 is Rally. Let's check out Rally. Now, the information I have for artwork came from an ad. The actual scan or front of the box I could not find, but this one will work. You can see you got the copyright down at the bottom. It's a daring race to the end, whatever that means. And it says there's the disc version in the top right, but that's all we have with an example of the screenshot on our TRS-80. Let's pop in and play some Rally. This is John Weaver Jr. Factory Programming, published by Soft Sector Marketing Incorporated sometime in the beginning of October 1982. And this one's pretty funny because the game's called Rally, but to boot the game, we get to load it as Rally X, which is kind of funny. Whoever did the programming for this disc and set it all up, that's essentially what the game is. There we go. Factory Programming is proud to present. Oh man, I must have a soft spot for the TRS-80. It is only in black and white, or depending on what your color switch is. But the sound and the way this performs, it's awesome. All right, so John Weaver Jr. did this one for us. The only other game we've seen that he's done was Vexus in July of 1982. And here we go, the second game we've seen here on the show. So we can have enter for instructions. Sure, how do we play? Use the arrow keys to move, space bar to blow smoke screen, capture all the flags. So it's actually Rally X. At least that's how they explained it here. All right, so we can do one or two players. If you do two players, it's alternate play, like an arcade game. So we'll just do a one-player game. There we go. Look at this. Now, it does work with a joystick, right? Awesome. I'm going back to my roots, playing as one giant pixel, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So what's different about this one compared to other Rally X games, if I don't move, I just sit here. I don't drive around the screen at all, but it is Rally X brought at home again. You move around the course, picking up all the flags. I can pick up the bonus flag. Look at the enemies were all stuck in the middle there. And see, we got one more on this side. Oh, he got us. I can't believe this is running. This game even has the mini-map of Rally X down the bottom right. Here, I'll readjust. Look at that. And then you go from level to level. This is great. If you had a TRS-80, this is a great game for the TRS-80. Oh, is that what the copyright said? I know, right? I think that's because this one is a cracked copy so that we can play the game. And they changed the copyright date at the top. Doing what I would expect sound-wise on the TRS-80, but everything else, I mean, I'm amazed this is Rally X and how well this runs. You can see over on the radar or the mini-map that we have, oh, we're getting a little slowdown. Hello. Oh man, my fuel ran out. Is that what it was at the top? Yeah, you start with a little bit. I also need to see, can I use my smoke screen? What? I'm being chased by brackets, and my smoke screen appears to be just a small mass of pixels. Oh yeah. Yeah, they're bringing on the same difficulty, so I'm just amazed that this was running on the TRS-80. It's pretty cool. You've qualified for the Rally Hall of Fame. Enter your name up to 10 characters. Cool. So can you do... Love it. I really feel like all these transitions we've seen on the TRS-80, when you go from screen to screen, it all came from Big 5 Software. They're the ones that had some of the biggest hits on the TRS-80. All right, so let's go in again. Now, Rally X is still fairly new. There's nothing official that's come home. The original Rally X was in the arcades in November 1980. And then since then, we saw new Rally X in the arcades On the VTech Creative Vision, they had Auto Chase in 1981, which is a very obscure home console. And then Rally X was also on the VIC-20, and that one ended up being turned into the Radar Rat Race game that we've seen on a few of the Commodore systems. Then we also saw Route 16. Oh, hello. Nope, not going to happen. Didn't drop the smoke screen in time. Route 16 was in the arcade in 1981. And then on the Atari home computer, we saw Getaway. That was in July 1982. And that's about it. That's all of the Rally X games we've seen so far here on the show. So this is amazing that you could play this because there's nothing that's the official Rally X. Yeah, I don't think that is the correct date, or someone tampered with this one to make it as a funny date at the top. Because that's not who made the game either for the Incorporated. So the cracked copy got messed around a little bit. Oh wow, well, that's still a lot of fun. There you go. So that's Rally. Pretty much just Rally X on the TRS-80. First time we've seen it here on the TRS-80. There's only a few other places you could play this one. I'm thinking of all the games so far for a home computer, this is an above average game. This is a great game, programmed really well, functions really well. Even though it's black and white and you're controlling a dot and a few pixels, it still gets the job done and plays pretty fun. So I'm going to say of all the games you could play at this point on home computers, I'm going 3.5 stars. Man, that TRS-80 has some surprising games that I don't know how they do it. It keeps giving me something good. All right, and with that, let's see what's next. But first, what's on the TV?
Hearing the so-called sports expert talk about his realistic home
Billy
video
Martin.
baseball game. Well, I've played real baseball, and I also played the new Atari RealSports Baseball.
Oh,
I like
real
it, 'cause
baseball.
I can sacrifice fly as well as steal, pick off runners. Hey, it's baseball like baseball should be played. And who are you going to listen to anyhow? That other guy who just talks baseball? Or a nice guy like me who lives it?
New RealSports Baseball, one in a series only.
RealSports Baseball. That's right, it's time to play on our Atari VCS. Let's check it out. RealSports Baseball. This is the very first time we've seen the RealSports series. Look at that. Oh, the front of the box. And this one would have been a little bit shinier if you saw in the commercial than this scanned box or reconstructed box. But they are giving us the little homage to the old school Atari games, the way they did the artwork. Not the same illustrator, if I'm correct, but it still looks pretty good. It makes you feel like you're playing one of the old school Atari games. Hit a home run, make a spectacular catch, or force a triple play. Here's your chance to prove your skills in the baseball diamond. Your job is to guide your team to victory. You control the ball players and the strategy. All this and more. All you need is an Atari VCS joystick. I know, Chiptune. We really need to listen to a gamer. Who was the other guy in the commercial that he was referring to? Was he talking about the Intellivision commercials as not being a professional talking about games? I'd like to know. All right, so we got the grungy box and the cleaned up one. And then the back of the box, same thing, just a reconstructed one. There's the cartridge we're going to pop into our Atari to play RealSports Baseball. Man, this one, we've already done lots of baseball games. At this point, this is our 30th baseball game across all categories. 30 baseball games. This is the 30th anniversary. Oh, there you go. There's the artwork. Man, it looks so good. I love it. Yeah, it must be George Plimpton he's talking about, that he doesn't know his sports. But that one is one of the best ones. The Intellivision Major League Baseball is still a contender for one of the best baseball games to play on a home console. Yeah. And there's an example of the screenshot. All right, here's the manual. We're just going to show you a little bit of what the game's like. There's a lot to explain because this one tries to do some complexity that it doesn't really need to do. All right, there you go. Table of contents. How do we play the game? Do they give us lore? Yes, they do. Join the Aces, Atari Aces of the World Series Video Baseball. RealSport Baseball. Man, the artwork, though, is so good. Great job with the manual. I love it. This was originally called Baseball, and then at some point, I think the prototype was Enhanced Baseball, and then later it's going to be renamed as Super Baseball with some enhancements, I believe in 1988. So this one's the very first time you could play this baseball game. And this one is our 143rd game that's available that we've played on the Atari VCS or Atari 2600. Imagine that many Atari games out there. Who has all the games? All right, there you go. Gameplay. Real Sports Baseball is just like real baseball, at least what they say here. Pitchers throw balls and strikes. 3 counts count as a. So in other words, they're just saying it scores like a baseball game, which is surprising because a few of the other games that were quote unquote baseball games were more like Pong clones. Shows us how to use the controllers down here in the bottom right, how to start the game up, bunting, batting, and they talk about controlling the batter first because that's one of the easier ones to control. Well, especially if you bunt. This one, because of the way the bat has a delay when you swing, most people are going to be bunting anyway. I know, right? This is one of those games, Chiptune. And here it is, brand new. Imagine you saw the commercial. You went to the store and you bought this brand new. Here's what's going to happen. And then it shows you how to control the runner next and how to steal a base, which is kind of rare for most baseball games right now. And the next section explains about pitching the ball. And all this is kind of strange because whenever you use the joystick, you move the joystick the way you want to go, and then you hold down the red button on the Atari VCS joystick, and then move the command again. And no matter what pitch you throw, they all look exactly the same. So it's almost like you're playing a game of gambling to do baseball. There's our console controls, explains what the different switches do, and what scoring is. It's baseball scoring, so there's not like a high score or anything like that. Over on the left side, they break down everything you see on the screen because of all the baseball games on home consoles, this one feels like a slight step back. I was a little hard on the M Network and television taking their baseball game to the Atari VCS, but this one goes even one step farther back. There's our game variations. You can do a 1-player or 2-player game. Some of the games, the batter can hit every pitch, and some of the games, the batter doesn't hit balls at all. So it's like you're controlling different parts of the players on the field rather than everybody all at the same time. And notice that it has for it's only 2 games for 2-player and 2 games for 1-player. Do not play 1-player. I am the only one here to showcase this game, but I'm not going to be playing the 1-player game because it cheats. The 1-player game computer knows every pitch you're going to be pitching, and so it's almost impossible to win the game. It does give us some helpful hints, though. I guess one of the helpful hints is don't play a 1-player game. This is much more enjoyable as a 2-player game. And there you go, the back of the manual. Oh man, we're gonna need it. All right, let's pop in and play Real Sports Baseball. This is developed by Joseph Tung, published by Atari at sometime in the beginning of October 1982. All right, so we're just gonna go with Game Mode 1 and hit reset. This one marks our 71st game that Atari has published on the Atari VCS. Nice, we get the crowd going wild. All right, so if you look down at the screen, the pitcher, if I just throw a pitch, it does what I wanted to. I sent the signal that I wanted to throw a ball, even though it went straight down the sidelines. Now, let's throw a curveball. Ready? Oh, wait. Now throw a curveball. And it still had the exact same pitch. So I'm programming or telling the joystick what to do, but all the pitches look exactly the same as you throw them down. Now, as the pitcher, I can decide where I want to throw the ball. So I have a little freedom. Right now, I can throw it to each position. All players are accounted for, but it's not really that impressive because we've seen other baseball games that do that. However, there's just not that many out there. All right, so now when it comes to batting, though, let me switch to Game Mode 2 and reset again. There's a lot to be desired with the way it looks. Character's a little bit smaller. I feel like this one is the step down from the in-network baseball. But if we want to play an actual baseball game, now you can see I'm swinging and controlling the batter. You tell the command of what the batter needs to do, but there's a delay. Whenever you use your red button, it doesn't respond as quickly to swing the bat. So to hit the ball takes a lot of practice. You have to think ahead before the ball comes down. And if the ball is thrown as a curveball, it looks the same as a normal ball that comes down, but you have to know to not hit the ball. Oh my gosh, I got a bunt. Go. I don't believe it. And then the catcher can run around and then throw after that. So I'm going to control it with both characters. The bunt's usually the way to go because usually no matter what pitch it is, you can still hit the ball. And you make your way running around the side after that. You can see going from one. Oh yeah, and M-Network was much better for 2 players, but this one is mandatory. It is impossible to play this as a one-player game. Now, the selling point, though, is there's not a lot of baseball games on home consoles that allow a computer to play with you. You have to have two people, like the Intellivision version, M Network, and the Major League Baseball. So this one, it's good to have two people, but even with two people, you're going to have a frustrating time because it's not very fair. Let's get out to... Give me that baseball there. Now throw it back to the pitcher. There you go. Good job. Oh, yes, Rich. This one makes me really, really yearn for the Pete Rose baseball. It is not out yet. So, yes, this one I would consider, of all the games to play on a home console, this one is a bad game. Now, I'm not saying baseball game. This is a baseball game, but of all the video games you could be playing right now, this one feels like one of those titles that you bought it and you were going to be disappointed by it, especially if you're playing by yourself. Think of you're being sold, I get to play with a computer. Great, I'm going to play a game with a computer. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's switch to game mode 4. I'm going to go ahead and reset. That's right, scruffy looking. After doing some playtesting and trying the one-player mode, I wasn't able to get anywhere. And every review online said the one-player mode's broken. All right, so we're in. I am now playing as the batter. The computer is pitching, so I'm able to... Okay, let's get in the bunt mode here. Let's get in bunt. Come on, make it work. All right, I'll wait for it. Wait for the pitch. And missed again. The delay also of the bat, it makes it very difficult, because even if it goes straight down and it's meant to be a curveball, if you swing and it'll go through the ball, or the bat will go through the ball and you won't even make connection. It is extremely frustrating, but that's because it's the one-player mode. Two-player mode, you may get a little bit more mileage, but you get to be frustrated with two people, so it's not as bad as being frustrated by yourself. Oh, yeah, I'm already looking over the chat. Wow, Brian's thrown out 1.5 stars. Yeah, that's really far down there. All right, there you go. A quick taste of Real Sports Baseball. It is not Real Sports Baseball. This is the very first one that was available for the Atari VCS. We are going to see other lines of video games in the Real Sports series and other Real Sports Baseballs and other consoles, too. This is Atari's attempt to try to do something better than the Intellivision one out there. All right, so baseball games. This is the 13th baseball game we played on a home console. There's 6 that are available in the arcade, 6 on home computers, and over 5 that are handheld, you know, the little LED screens. And so that means we played baseball on most of the consoles have them. You know, the original Magnavox Odyssey had it, RCA Studio 2, Fairchild Channel F, the Astrocade, the MPF Imagination Machine, the Video Pack, or the Odyssey 2, Intellivision, and then even Epoch Cassette Vision has baseball and new baseball. And then here on the Atari, Mattel's Super Challenge Baseball is the one we just recently played. And then the Arcadia 2001 even had a baseball game that I would say, of all the baseball games you could play on the home console, this one is the worst one. And I'm not putting that lightly. As far as baseball games go, this one's even worse than the baseball on the Epoch Cassette Vision, because that one was at least faster paced. While it wasn't much to look at, this one doesn't really function well or work very well. They're trying to implement too many things to compete with Intellivision, and it just doesn't cut it. So I'm going to say bad of all the games so far. Yep. Manly, that's right. I love it. 2 stars. Yeah, I'm going to say it is a bad title. It is the best of the bad, but 2 stars for Real Sports Baseball on the Atari VCS. Kind of puts a beginning bad taste in your mouth of all the Real Sports games. All right, with that, let's see what our next game is. Next, we're going to play on our Apple II, another home computer, and this is Roadblock. Let's check it out. This one is our 385th video game we've played on the Apple II. Not a lot of information here, just a few screenshots, so let's just pop it and play Roadblock. This is by Sublogic in sometime in the beginning of October 1982. The third game we played here on the show after A2FS1 Flight Simulator, the Black Forest, and there's a couple others that were available also for the Apple II. And this one I'm going to have to speed up for a little bit to get us going because it takes a little bit longer to load, which is a little rare for the Apple II. There we go. All right, so the game begins just on this screen. It looks like the top down of a city. I'm going to consider this a maze or arcade-style maze game, even though it feels more like we're looking down at a map. But that's how it plays. All right, so what I want to do first is hit Escape to begin. And I want everyone to look down at the bottom at the copyright. This is by Terry Egan, and the only other game we've seen by Terry Egan was Zendar, which is like a 4X game where you try to conquer the world. And then we also have Sue Klefstad, and this is the first time we've ever seen Sue Klefstad do a video game, but it's also by Michael Koulos. This is the very first game that Mike Koulos ever did, at least to my knowledge. And he's going to go on to do games like Car and Driver. He's going to design Descent for MS-DOS, Free Space, and Red Faction. That's right. And this is his very first video game. So exciting. All right, so we're going to start Roadblock with easy mode and hopefully explain what's going on here. All right, so ready? We can go escape for the game, and we're in. We're controlling 5 different police cars. So this is a law enforcement game. Alert, alert! There's a robbery in progress. Robbers at the top of the screen. His getaway car is a Porsche 928, and they're making their escape now. And here's the idea of the game. You push the car you want to control, and then you make a decision of where you want that car to go. So I'm just selecting the number of car by pushing the number on the key on the number pad. And then I just tell the car which direction I want it to go. So I don't have full control of the car. Like I can go back to car number 2, car number 1, go to the left. Yeah, so I'm trying to head them off. So all you do is you select the car, and then if you select the car, then you decide which way you want it to go. And you just pick a direction. So the car just continues to go in that direction until it reaches an intersection. It's really not action-packed. It doesn't really feel as much like an arcade game. I guess since it's simple enough, but it's not really doing anything to push the this style of game. Notice that when I went, let's do it again, go to the intersection and stop, head them off. But all you're supposed to do is you don't even catch the criminal. So the Porsche, which is the pink car, continues to go intersection to intersection, and all you have to do is take the car and stop it for a certain amount of time. See the time limit in the top right? You just have to keep the car here without letting the car leave the map within the allotted time. So it's law enforcement, but you're not even doing law enforcement. So it feels a little mundane. In a way, it feels like the game we played on the TRS-80 where you're controlling trains and putting trains in the station because you have multiple multiple things to control. But you select what you want to control, then move it the direction it needs to go, and that's it. That's the whole game. So very, very simple premise. We haven't seen really many games like this. So the control of the cars is select the car and then move it the direction you want to go. This is keyboard controlled only. Riveting. I know, that's right. We have to wait for the timer to go all the way down. And look at that. The robber isn't even... Okay, now the robber's going to try to get away. Let's see if I can stop him. Quick. Go south. Quick. Quick. Where is it? Which one was that car? Oh, did he make it? Yeah, and the Porsche escaped in 127 seconds. And we lose. But I think the real losers are the ones that bought the game and played the game. Oh, yeah, there you go. So that's all I really want to show for Roadblock. It is pretty much the only best thing I can say about it is it's the first game by Mike Koulos. The controls are keyboard only, a little bit awkward, trying something different or new, but that's part of the fun of playing video games right now. These games are doing something that it's not licensed, it's something new and fresh and weird, and sometimes it hits and works as far as a game, and sometimes it doesn't. And this one I definitely say would be subpar. Yeah, I'm already seeing lower scores over in the chat. Now, of all the games you can play right now on a home computer, they are usually utilizing some pretty good graphics for the Apple II. Sound is really non-existent, but we expect that on the Apple II. Yeah, I'm feeling the same too. It's very low as far as gameplay too. So of all the games so far on a home computer, I'm going to say 2 stars. It's still bad, but it's the best of the bad. Yeah, I know, right? It's a tricky one. How much enjoyment would you have on this based on everything else you could play on the home computer? I mean, think about it. The Apple right now has at least 385 games. There's some real good ones on the system. All right, so with that, let's see what our next game is.
In recession, British computing was a miraculous exception.
We're going next to the United Kingdom, and this is the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. This is Robot Chase. Let's check it out. Robot Chase is another one that is by Phipps Associates, and this is their 5th game. part of this book, the Spectrum Pocket Book. So we're going to type in and play that game with the example of the screenshot. This is Robot Chase by Phipps Associates, the beginning of October 1982. This marks our 102nd game on the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. All right, this is Chase. You're within the walls of the high-voltage security block. The security guards have detected your presence and are making their way towards you. In order to escape from them, you must try to lead them to the electrified fences. Those are the fences, which are squares. Guards are shown as whatever that is, and then you are the stick figure. Use the cursor keys to move around, and then RU, or 4, R, U, and 9 move diagonally. Now, if you look down at your ZX Spectrum keyboard, that will all make sense because the cursor keys are 5, 6, 7, and 8. How difficult do we want it? Man, I want to go really hard. Let's go 3. Yeah, we're going to need a lot of luck for this one. And you are correct. If you're familiar with mainframe games or the games we've seen so far on home computers, this is yet another Chase variant. It's going to build it in for us. Very nice. Most of the stuff we've seen by Phipps Associates has been type-in games like this. Not hitting too many parts. All right, let's go. So all the aliens are making their move. I am in the top left, making my move down to the straight down right now to see if I can beat the aliens out. I don't know if I can, though, with the place they got me set up. This is going to be really tight. I don't think it looks good. And like some of these Chase variants, this one's playing in real time, which means if I just sit there, the aliens will continue to pursue me. Oh, yes, and I've been caught. Oh, the music of the ZX Spectrum. Sure, I'll play another game. Is it going to do the same? It's going to do the same difficulty. All right, I guess we had to boot it up again from the beginning. This one marks our 8th game we've played that takes this form of chase game, or a game where you're meant to lure enemies into traps, but you're not building the traps like the top-down maze game Hyenkyo Alien. There's a lot more of these on terminal and mainframe that we didn't play, but here on the home computer, that's pretty much all where we found them. Some of the ones that you could be checking out or playing right now were Killerbot on the TRS-80 color computer in February 1982. Then we have Zombies, which was on the ZX81. Murgatroyds on the ZX81 in 1981. And for my money, if you wanted to play the best version of this game, it was Rabots on the Atari line of home computer in July 1982. This one is almost like we're playing the same kind of game that you would play on terminal or mainframe. Uh-oh, this doesn't look good. Yep, and you've been caught. Make sure you use those diagonals to get around that. Yes, I know, right? I'm with you there, Manly. So there you go, that's Robot Chase. It's yet another chase game. Of all the games you can play right now, it's actually okay. It's not as bad as some of the other titles, but of all the games you could play right now on a home computer, and considering this is a type-in game, I'd be rating it higher, especially if it was on the ZX Spectrum. I could see someone that only had this computer, or this micro, enjoying and calling it, around 3 stars. But here, because we played everything else, I gotta go 2. Again, 2 all around. Yes, your reasoning for rating, Manly, is valid. All right, so there you go. That's Robot Chase, the latest that you could play or type in on the ZX Spectrum. By the way, all the type-in games we play, there's not the nearly exhausted list of type-in games. This book had more games. We didn't play everything. I just played the ones that would be memorable or honoring other games, or comparing like we did with the Chase variant. But there's also magazines that have tons of type-in games. There is tons and tons if someone spent the time to type all those in. Sadly, that's all the time we have for this episode of Chronologically Gaming. Thanks so much for joining me on my quest, playing every single game in order of release. Next time on Chronologically Gaming, Jungler in the arcade comes home, but it's not exactly what you think. And can you survive the snapper? That's it for today, and like I always say, is color really that important to make a great game? Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are perpetually retro, and we will catch you next time.